Welcome back. Should the world impose taxes on unhealthy food? The United Nations lead food expert says yes. Olivier de Schutter is the UN Special Rapporteur on the right to food. He says obesity has become more dangerous than tobacco, and the international community needs to do more to prevent it. De Schutter is calling UN members to tax unhealthy foods, limit access to foods high in saturated fats, salt, and sugar, as well as boost food distribution from local producers.
Dr. Linda Mintle is a family therapist and an author of several books about weight loss and healthy body image, and they're wonderful. I especially loved your book called Press Pause Before Eating, and you have a few others too that I would highly recommend to our viewers.
I do. I wrote Lose It for Life, which was a bestseller about weight loss and raising healthy weight kids, and that's a really good one for getting your kids on the right track.
And also you look at the world through a Christian worldview,
Right,
so that's
right.
bonus as well. So let's talk about what the UN is discussing about taxing unhealthy food. Do you think things like this, where we tax cigarettes or alcohol, prevents unhealthy behavior?
Well, let's look at what Denmark did, because Denmark tried this, and they actually put a tax on unsaturated or high saturated fat foods. And what they found was that it did not change consumer behavior at all in terms of buying it. There was one study in the Archives of Internal Medicine that did show that when they put a tax on pizza and soda, there was some decrease in people buying that food. So there's mixed results on whether this will actually work if people try it.
A lot of people are opposed to the government getting involved in our lives on this level, but then a lot of other people say, what's wrong with it?
Well, the overreach is definitely the concern. People are thinking, who is the government to pick the winners and the losers of food? And I think one of the more important issues, though, is that is this going to become a burden to the poor? Because one of the things we know, Lori, is when we look at the studies, that when you're faced with 5 for $1, let's say macaroni and cheese, which is a highly processed food, which doesn't have a lot of nutrition, and a little pint of raspberries that's really good for you, the 5 for 1 macaroni and cheese is a whole lot cheaper. So a lot of this is an economic issue for people when they're looking at buying food.
And clearly something needs to be done. If not taxing these foods, then what?
Well, taxing them, again, I'm not saying that that isn't going to happen. One of the other suggestions is always, well, let's subsidize healthy foods. But when they did the study again and they put it out there, people did buy some of the healthier foods when they were subsidized. But here's what they did. They took the leftover money that they made and they used it to buy junk food. So it didn't really work by itself. So the issue is, maybe this is one strategy, but then you've got to look at all the factors that go into obesity. So you've still got to deal with people getting much more active in movement. You've still got to look at portion control. You still have to look to the emotional side of eating, which is where I sort of live and breathe with people. And you have to get at the root of why we're doing this. And let's face it, food is good. It's a comfort. It's a friend. It's there when you need it. And it's one of those ways that we feel pleasure. And in a culture of overabundance, you know, when you've got it all around you, it's easy to indulge.
Right, and then you always hear the people say, well, I don't have time to cook healthy. You know, I have to do the fast food, the convenience food, because I'm so busy.
Well, I've got a lot in my book about that. I've pulled out the old crock pot again and started that going in the morning. You don't have to do anything. You throw a bunch of stuff in at the end of the day. But the truth is, when you're dealing with trying to lose weight, there are absolutely no shortcuts. So you do have to put the time and energy into preparing healthier food. If we could get people off of all this processed food and get people more into farmers markets and community gardens and those things, it would help in terms of the type of food we're eating. But you got to take the time and you've got to be able to put the energy into it. That's the only way you get good results on most things.
Have to make it a priority.
Yeah,
Thank you
do.
so much. Great information.